Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going behind the scenes.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, into the digital world to explore
Yeah.
API management.
Okay.
Have you ever wondered, how companies manage all those connections, the
Right.
connections that power so much of what we do online?
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're going to be diving into today.
Awesome. I'm excited.
And we have the perfect guide
Okay.
for this journey.
Okay.
Continuous API management.
Great book.
This book is packed with insights for
Right.
anyone who works with APIs.
Absolutely.
Or even if you're just curious
Yeah.
about how all this stuff works behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
it's not just for the techie folks out there.
Absolutely not.
It sounds like this book has
Yeah.
something for anyone who wants to understand how technology is shaping the business world.
Totally. It really emphasizes that APIs aren't just lines of code.
Right. They're kind of the foundation of modern business operations.
Interesting.
They're becoming a core part of companies' strategies now.
Okay, so can we back up just for a second?
Sure.
For those of us who aren't
Right.
Tech wizards,
Yeah.
can you just explain what an API actually is?
Sure. So think of an API as a digital messenger.
Okay.
It allows different software systems
Mhm.
to talk to each other, exchange information, and work together
Got it.
seamlessly. It's kind of like a universal translator
Yep.
for the digital world.
Okay, so every time I use my Google account to log into a website or my calendar updates after I book a flight.
Yep, that's APIs.
That's APIs in action.
in action, behind the scenes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that APIs are becoming more strategic.
Yes.
Is that where this API as a product concept comes in?
Yes, exactly. So the book introduces this idea of
okay.
API as a product.
Okay. Or AAP.
Okay.
And it's really a powerful shift in perspective.
Okay.
It encourages companies to treat their APIs with the same care and attention they would give to any other product that they're selling.
So instead of just thinking of an API as a technical tool,
Right, exactly.
you're saying you need to treat it as...
You treat it as a valuable product in its own right.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that means what? Understanding the needs.
Yeah, understanding the needs of your users and designing APIs that are easy to use, reliable, and can help them achieve their goals.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a big emphasis on making these APIs user-friendly.
Yes.
Even though it's developers who are using them a lot of times.
Absolutely.
So the book actually draws this parallel to Apple's design.
Yes, Apple's design
thinking approach, which is known for its laser focus on user experience.
Yeah.
So how do you apply that kind of design thinking to something as technical as an API?
It's all about anticipating the needs of the developers who are going to be using your API.
Right.
And companies are investing in training their API developers in these design thinking principles.
That's interesting. So give developers the tools and the mindset to think like a product designer.
Exactly.
And then you end up with these APIs
You got it.
that are both powerful and easy to use.
That's the goal.
The book even highlights this bold move by Amazon, where Jeff Bezos issued this mandate.
The Bezos mandate.
Requiring all teams to expose their functionality
I know that story.
through APIs.
Yeah.
But the catch was that these APIs had to be designed
as if they were for the outside world.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a powerful way to instill that API as a product mindset within a company.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you've got an API designed with the user in mind. What's next? How do you make sure developers have a
So then you get to
smooth experience when they first start using it?
developer onboarding.
Okay.
This is a crucial step.
Right.
The book really emphasizes the need for this seamless onboarding process.
Okay.
And they actually compare it to Apple's
Oh, wow.
meticulously crafted unboxing experience.
So just like you want that feeling of excitement and ease when you open a new iPhone,
Exactly.
you want developers to feel that way
You got it.
when they start using your API.
Yeah, and Twilio actually, they set this ambitious goal for their onboarding.
Okay.
They aim to get a new developer from their landing page to a live working example in under 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
That's the goal.
Okay. So what makes their onboarding process so efficient?
Well, it comes down to clear and concise documentation that goes beyond just like listing technical specifications.
Okay.
They strike a balance between like a teaching approach and a telling approach.
Yeah. Interesting.
So they provide step-by-step guides for beginners, but then they also offer like concise reference materials for more experienced developers.
So catering to those different levels of expertise
Exactly.
and making the information really easy to digest.
You got it. And it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
They also emphasize the importance of continuous feedback and iteration.
Interesting.
So they're always refining their onboarding based on what they're hearing from their users.
That makes sense. Just like with any product.
Exactly.
You got to keep iterating and improving.
You got it.
Okay, so we've talked about designing user-friendly APIs.
Yes.
And then making that onboarding process really smooth.
Right.
What are some of the other key elements to contribute to a strong API?
The 10 pillars of a strong API.
10 pillars. So
these are the foundational elements that every API should strive for.
Okay.
And they cover a wide range of things.
All right, so what's the first pillar?
Well, the first one is all about strategy.
Okay.
It's about aligning your API with your overall business goals.
So before you even start building, you need to ask yourself, why are we doing this?
Exactly.
What are we hoping to achieve?
What's the purpose?
And then what? What's the next pillar?
Then you've got design,
Okay.
which is about creating intuitive and consistent interfaces that developers will love.
Okay, so it's not just about making it work. It's got to
be beautiful.
work beautifully.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What else?
And of course, you got to have good documentation.
Okay.
This is where you provide
Yeah.
clear, concise guidance for developers,
That makes sense.
explaining how to use the API effectively.
So they're not just like scratching their heads.
Exactly. You don't want them to get frustrated.
Yeah. Okay.
Then you've got development,
Okay.
which is about choosing the right tools and technologies to build your API. So it's making sure you're using the best stuff for the job. Right, the most efficient tools. Exactly. Yeah. Then, of course, just like any software, you got to do testing.
Yes. Quality assurance is key.
Absolutely. Got to make sure it's reliable. And it actually does what it's supposed to do.
Performs well under pressure.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about getting the API out there?
Right. So then we talk about deployment, which is about delivering your API in a scalable and robust manner.
Okay, so it can handle the demands of the real world.
Exactly.
All right. And then security, I imagine.
Security, that's paramount.
Yeah.
It's about protecting your API from all those threats out there.
Yeah, with so much sensitive information being exchanged.
Absolutely.
Security's got to be a top priority.
It's crucial.
Okay, so what's next?
Then you've got monitoring, which is about keeping a close eye on how your API is performing, identifying any issues, and gathering insights.
To guide future improvements.
So it's continuous observation and analysis to make sure everything is running smoothly.
You got it.
Okay, we've got a few more pillars.
We do.
What are they?
So then we have discovery, which is about making your API easily findable by developers.
Okay, so it's like good SEO.
Yeah, good SEO for your API.
For your API.
Exactly.
Okay.
And finally, we have change management.
Okay.
This one focuses on managing updates and new versions of your API over time.
So you can make improvements without disrupting your users.
Exactly.
Or breaking things.
You got it.
It's like performing open heart surgery.
That's a good analogy.
While the patient is running a marathon.
I like that.
Okay, so 10 pillars.
10 pillars.
To consider when you're
think about
building a strong API. That's a pretty comprehensive list.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but it's worth it.
Goes into creating a successful API product.
It is. If you're treating your API as a product, you want to be meticulous about every stage of its life cycle.
Yeah.
And these 10 pillars are a really great roadmap for creating an API that not only functions well, but also delights your users.
So we've covered these 10 pillars.
Yeah.
A blueprint for building a solid API. But the tech world is constantly changing.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you keep an API relevant, up to date in such a dynamic landscape?
That's where continuous improvement comes in.
Okay.
The book really emphasizes that APIs, just like the web itself, are always evolving.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It's like tending a garden.
Exactly.
You're never really done.
Ever done.
There's always pruning.
Always something to do.
Weeding and planting.
Yeah, you got to keep it thriving.
So where do you even begin
with this
continuous improvement cycle?
The book outlines 3 different models for continuous improvement.
Okay.
One classic approach is Deming's Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Isn't that used in, like, manufacturing and
It's used everywhere.
project management?
Yeah. It's super versatile.
So how does that apply to APIs?
Well, with APIs, it involves planning what you want to achieve, implementing those plans, studying the results, and then making adjustments based on what you've learned.
So you're constantly experimenting, analyzing, and tweaking.
Exactly.
What are the other models?
Another one is Boyd's OODA loop.
The OODA loop. Okay.
It stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, Act.
I've heard that in business contexts as well.
It's a popular one.
How does that apply to API management?
So imagine you're a company with a rapidly evolving API landscape. You need to be able to respond to changes quickly.
Yeah.
The OODA loop is all about speed and agility. Observing what's happening, making sense of it, making decisions, and then taking action.
So it's about being adaptable and staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
What's the third model?
The third one is all about bottlenecks.
Okay.
It's Goldratt's theory of constraints. Have you heard of that one?
I have heard of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would that apply to an API?
Yeah. Give me an example.
Okay, let's say your API is having some performance issues.
Okay.
It's slowing down. Using the theory of constraints.
Yeah.
You would try to identify like the weakest link in the chain.
Okay.
Maybe it's a specific server.
Right.
A code bottleneck.
Okay.
Even a process issue.
Right.
Once you've found that constraint, you focus your efforts on improving that one area.
Interesting.
And that can really unlock a lot of efficiency.
It's like finding that one clogged pipe.
Exactly.
It's slowing down the whole flow of water.
You got it.
So we've got these 3 models.
3 models.
Plan to Study Act.
Yep.
OODA loop. And theory of constraints.
That's right.
They all seem to bring a different perspective.
They do.
To continuous improvement.
Yeah.
So you don't have to choose just one.
Yeah.
Right?
Really blend them.
You can mix and match.
Find what works for you.
Okay. So far, we've been talking about managing individual APIs.
Right.
But as companies grow, they often end up with
a whole ecosystem.
A whole ecosystem of APIs, right?
That's right.
How do you even begin to manage something that complex?
It's a great question. And that's where the book takes this broader view.
Okay.
It shifts from managing an API to managing your API landscape.
API landscape.
Which encompasses all the APIs within your organization.
Okay.
And even those you interact with externally.
Now, that sounds like a whole other level of complexity.
Yeah.
Where do you even start?
Well, the book uses this analogy of archaeology.
Okay.
Imagine you're an archaeologist.
Okay.
Carefully excavating layers of history.
Right.
To understand how a civilization evolved.
Okay.
Managing an API landscape can feel very similar.
So you're digging through layers of integrations.
Exactly.
Trying to understand.
You're trying to figure out
how those connections came to be.
How it all came to be.
Wow, that's a cool way to think about it. I'm picturing myself with a little brush, dusting off old code.
You might even find what the book calls proto-APIs.
Proto-APIs.
Okay, these are integrations that existed before formal APIs were even a thing.
So they're like the ancient ruins?
Yeah, like the ancient ruins.
The API world.
Exactly.
Okay.
Offering clues about the past.
So understanding those proto-APIs can help you make sense of
the
current API landscape.
It can inform your decisions going forward.
That's really interesting to help make sense of this complex world of APIs.
Right.
The book introduces this framework
Yes.
called the 8 Vs.
The 8 Vs. These Vs are like the key dimensions you need to consider.
All right, hit me with the first V.
The first V is variety.
Variety, okay.
And it highlights the challenge of managing all the different APIs.
So making sure that they can all,
they play nice together.
Very nicely together.
Exactly.
All right, what's the next one?
The second V is vocabulary.
Vocabulary, okay.
It's about making sure everyone's speaking the same language.
Right. Consistent definitions.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, as your API landscape grows, you also have to think about volume.
Okay.
The sheer scale of traffic.
Right.
Your system needs to be able to handle it.
So scalability is key.
Scalability is key, yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Then we have velocity.
Velocity.
Which is about the pace of change.
Yeah.
Things are constantly changing.
Yeah, it's like trying to change a tire on a moving car.
That's a good one.
You got to be quick and precise. What's the next V?
The fifth V is vulnerability.
Okay.
Security is absolutely crucial.
Right. With all these potential entry points.
Yeah.
It's a big challenge.
It is.
Okay.
And security is only effective if you have visibility.
Okay.
That's our 6th V.
So it's about having like a bird's eye view of your API ecosystem.
You need to know what's going on.
Okay. We're down to the last 2 Vs.
We are.
What are they?
Number 7 is versioning.
Versioning. Okay.
This is about managing changes to APIs over time.
Yeah, that sounds tricky.
It can be.
It's like, as I said, performing open heart surgery while the person is running a marathon.
Got to be careful.
And the last V.
Volatility. Right. This acknowledges that large interconnected systems are inherently unstable.
Right. Things are going to break.
Things will go wrong.
Okay. You've got to be prepared.
So it's about being prepared for those hiccups.
Exactly.
And having strategies in place.
Okay. So the 8 Vs give us this really helpful framework for understanding the complexities of API landscapes.
It's a lot to think about.
How do we actually manage this like ever-growing, ever-evolving ecosystem?
We get into the idea of maturity.
Okay.
The book talks about the importance of an API landscape maturing over time.
So moving from like a more chaotic...
Yeah, like a wild west of API.
It's an ad hoc approach.
Yeah.
To a more structured, strategic way.
To a well-organized city.
Of managing your APIs.
That's right.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
How do you create that sense of structure and governance?
So the book introduces this concept of a Center for Enablement.
Center for Enablement, okay.
For C4E.
C4E.
This is like a dedicated team responsible for supporting API development across the organization.
So it's like a central hub of expertise.
Exactly. For everything API.
But wouldn't that like risk creating too much bureaucracy?
It could, but the book really stresses that the C4E's role is to enable, not control.
Got it.
It's about empowering teams, not dictating.
So they're like advisors, facilitators, and champions.
They're your API champion.
For API excellence.
Exactly.
They're there to help.
They're like the friendly neighborhood.
Yeah, the friendly neighborhood.
The API experts.
The API expert.
You mentioned API maturity.
Yes.
Is there like a way to measure?
That's a good question. The book doesn't give you like a scorecard.
Okay.
But it emphasizes that maturity is a journey.
Right.
It's not a destination.
So it's about continuous learning and evolution.
You got it.
So what would you say is like the biggest mistake that companies make?
I think one of the most common mistakes is diving into the technical details without first understanding why they're doing it.
So it's that classic mistake of
jumping into the how before the why.
Exactly. APIs are powerful.
Yeah.
But they're not a magic solution for every problem.
You need a strategy.
You got to have a strategy.
Okay.
What are your goals?
Yeah.
What are you trying to achieve?
So it all starts with that fundamental question.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Yes.
What are we hoping to achieve?
What's the purpose?
It sounds like having that clear why is crucial.
It is.
Not just for API management, but for anything.
Anything.
Yeah, for any business endeavor, really.
Absolutely. It's about having that North Star to guide your decisions and keep you from getting lost.
So we've covered so much in this book.
We have.
Continuous API management.
It's a great book.
We've gone from treating APIs as products to navigating these complex API landscapes.
A lot to cover.
It's been a journey.
It has.
And it highlights the impact that APIs have on our lives.
Even if we don't see them.
Yeah, there's these invisible threats.
They're behind the scenes.
Yeah. Every time we shop online, book travel, connect with friends.
All the time.
It's mind-boggling.
It is, yeah.
So for our listeners out there, what's like one key takeaway you hope they walk away with?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is that APIs are more than just technical tools.
Okay.
They're strategic assets that can create real value for businesses and really shape the way we interact with the world.
It's about seeing that bigger picture. Understanding the power of these connections and then approaching API management.
With a strategic mindset.
With that strategic mindset.
You got it.
The API landscape is constantly evolving.
Absolutely.
What works today might not work tomorrow.
That's right.
What's one thing listeners can do to further explore?
I would encourage everyone to think about the different ways that APIs are already impacting their lives.
Okay.
What apps or services do you use that rely on APIs? Start noticing those connections, and you'll start to see the vast potential of this technology.
So start paying attention to those behind-the-scenes players.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might be surprised.
You might be.
At what you discover.
Yeah.
That's a great challenge.
It is a challenge.
Who knows? Maybe you'll stumble upon an idea for a game-changing API.
You never know.
That could revolutionize an industry.
It's possible.
Or solve a pressing problem.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of technology.
Right? It is. There's always something new to discover.
Always something new.
New possibilities to explore.
And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into continuous API management.
A great topic.
It has been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And I hope our listeners have gained
I'm sure they have.
A newfound appreciation for this intricate world of APIs.
Absolutely.
And how they're shaping our digital lives.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Happy diving.
Happy diving.
See you on the next deep dive.
Absolutely. It's about having that North Star to guide your decisions and keep you from getting lost in the weeds, technical or otherwise.
So we've covered so much in this book.
We have.
Continuous API management.
It's a great book.
We've gone from treating APIs as products to navigating these complex API landscapes.
A lot to cover.
It's been a journey.
It has.
And it highlights the impact that APIs have on our lives.
Even if we don't see them.
Yeah, they're these invisible threads.
They're behind the scenes.
Yeah, every time we shop online, book travel, connect with friends.
All the time.
It's mind-boggling.
It is, yeah.
So for our listeners out there,
yeah,
what's like one key takeaway you hope they walk away with?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is that APIs are more than just technical tools. They're strategic assets that can create real value for businesses and really shape the way we interact with the world.
It's about seeing that bigger picture.
Exactly.
Understanding the power of these connections.
Yeah.
And then approaching API management.
With a strategic mindset.
With that strategic mindset.
You got it.
The API landscape is constantly evolving.
Absolutely.
What works today might not work tomorrow.
That's right.
What's one thing listeners can do to further explore?
I would encourage everyone to think about the different ways that APIs are already impacting their lives.
Okay.
What apps or services do you use that rely on APIs?
Yeah.
Start noticing those connections, and you'll start to see the vast potential of this technology.
So start paying attention to those behind-the-scenes players.
Absolutely.
You might be surprised.
You might be.
At what you discover.
Yeah.
It's a great challenge.
It is a challenge.
Who knows? Maybe you'll stumble upon an idea for a game-changing API.
You never know.
That could revolutionize an industry.
It's possible.
Or solve a pressing problem.
Yeah.
Like, it's the beauty of technology, Reed.
It is. There's always something new to discover.
Always something new.
New possibilities to explore.
And with that, I think we've reached the end.
I think we have.
Of our deep dive into continuous API management.
A great topic.
It has been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And I hope our listeners have gained a newfound appreciation for this intricate world of APIs.
Absolutely.
And how they're shaping our digital lives.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Happy diving.
Happy diving.
See you in the next deep dive.
It is. It's about having that North Star to guide your decisions and keep you from getting lost in the weeds, technical or otherwise.
So we've covered so much in this book.
We have.
Continuous API management.
It's a great book.
We've gone from treating APIs as products to navigating these complex API landscapes.
A lot to cover.
It's been a journey.
It has.
And it highlights the impact that APIs have on our lives.
Even if we don't see them.
Yeah, they're these invisible threads.
They're behind the scenes.
Yeah, every time we shop online, book travel, connect with friends.
All the time.
It's mind-boggling.
It is, yeah.
So for our listeners out there,
yeah,
what's like one key takeaway you hope they walk away with?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is that APIs are more than just technical tools.
Okay.
They're strategic assets.
Right.
That can create real value for businesses.
Yeah.
And really shape the way we interact with the world.
It's about seeing that bigger picture.
Exactly.
Understanding the power of these connections.
Yeah.
And then approaching API management.
With a strategic mindset.
With that strategic mindset.
You got it.
The API landscape is constantly evolving.
Absolutely.
What works today might not work tomorrow.
That's right.
What's one thing listeners can do to further explore?
I would encourage everyone to think about the different ways that APIs are already impacting their lives. what apps or services do you use that rely on APIs?
Yeah.
Start noticing those connections, and you'll start to see the vast potential of this technology.
So start paying attention to those behind-the-scenes players.
Absolutely.
You might be surprised
We might be.
at what you discover.
Yeah.
That's a great challenge.
It is a challenge.
Who knows? Maybe you'll stumble upon an idea for a game-changing API.
You won't ever know.
That could revolutionize an industry.
It's possible.
Or solve a pressing problem.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of technology, right?
It is. There's always something new to discover.
Always something new.
New possibilities to explore.
And with that, I think we've reached the end.
I think we have.
Of our deep dive into continuous API management.
Great topic.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And I hope our listeners have gained a newfound appreciation for this intricate world of APIs.
Absolutely.
And how they're shaping our digital lives.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Happy diving.
Happy diving.
See you on the next dive.